Hey guys, welcome back to my weekly Let's Try series. We're currently covering some of the entrants from the recent May Wolf game jam. And that's enough context to just get started, I guess. If I could choose any place to die, this would be it. A fitting end. Curtains snapping shut on a life nobody wanted. Least of all me. Oh, there's a little truck on the dialogue window. Frost, a scrawny wolf with an off-white coat streaked with mud and shame, stood trembling on the interstate's shoulder, rain pounding down like the world was spitting on me. The sky, a slab of bruised slate, pressed by bones into the sodden earth, flattening what little fight I had left. Cars roared past, bright headlights breaking the dusk, each beam a taunt of warmth, purpose. At home I'd lost. My paws sank into the muck, claws curling as if I could root myself here, dissolve into the filth and escape the dread gnawing my gut. The world didn't care, and I told myself I didn't either. A lie I wished I could believe. $13 jingled in my pocket, a pathetic chime against the storm's howl, and my phone buzzed faintly against my thigh, 7% battery hanging on about as well as my life was. My rock and roar shirt clung to my ribs, soaking and fraying where my claws had snagged it in a desperate grab for warmth. My tail sagged, a wet flag of defeat plastered to my legs, jeans slipping low. Should have grabbed a belt, I thought, to hold up my pants or to choke the life out of me. Damn, morbid. The rain sharpened into icy needles, stinging my fur, and I hunched against it, ears pinned, headphones dangling useless around my neck. Rock and Roar's illegally downloaded screams, my petty rebellion against a world that had cast me out, faded as my phone died, leaving only the rain's drone and the shrill whine of tires on wet asphalt. I've been walking for hours, maybe days. Time blurred when you had nowhere to go. My family's last words clawed my mind. Faggot. Get out. Dad's voice, a gravelly snarl, cut deep. But Mom's silence stabbed deeper, her eyes dodging mine like I was already gone. Kicked out for loving wrong, for being wrong, a flaw I couldn't unmake. At 18, the law couldn't drag me back to the house of hate. Not yet. Not while I could still stumble through the wreckage of my life. The interstate stretched before me, a black ribbon vanishing into the void, until my legs gave out beneath a gnarled oak. It's always a gnarled oak. I've noticed that. Its twisted branches offered no comfort, just a fleeting shield from the rain. I dropped my backpack with a wet thud, sank beside it, and curled my tail around myself, a flimsy guard against the world. My thermos tipped over, catching raindrops in a mocking rhythm, as if survival itself was a cruel jest, when all I wanted was to surrender. Sleep came, a black tide that swallowed me, and in it I dreamed of wolves, feral, their jaws snapping, teeth like Dad's, jagged and cruel, eyes like Mom's, cold and damning. I wish I could sleep forever. I woke to thunder, my stomach a twisting ache, and a bitter smirk tugged my lips. Still alive, a cosmic punchline. The rain had continued its onslaught, as if it would never end, and I huddled in closely, body shivering as I became desperate for warmth. Wood swerve, 5 miles east, flickered in my mind. A Buckster's there might have a plug for my phone, a latte I could stretch my coins to buy. Beyond that, Smivia, the state capital, loomed, a faint promise of salvation or just another kind of hell. I pulled out my phone before realizing I had already drawn its last breath. It had already drawn its last breath and stared at the road. Rain streaking my vision like tears I wouldn't shed. Whoa! Oddly terrifying ghost truck coming out of the horizon. Suddenly, a light in the dark pierced through the night. A truck's engine, guttural and alive, its headlights searing my eyes. I flinched, paws shielding my face, fur bristling as the beast slowed, tires hissing on wet pavement. A shadow filled the driver's window. Broad and solid, a chubby wolf, his damp fur haloed by the cab's dim glow. You okay, bud? Oh, thriving. Can't you see I'm one with the storm? Sarcasm was my shield, wielded to keep his concern at bay, to hide the raw ache his question pried open. Leave me alone. He sighed, a heavy sound that settled between us, and I braced for him to drive off, but he didn't. You high or something? Need help getting home? Not high. No home. The truth spilled out, raw and reckless, a confession I hadn't meant to give. He was either a saint or a predator, stopping for a drenched, snarling wreck like me at midnight reeked of both, and I couldn't tell which one scared me more. Rain tapped the truck's hood, then a massive paw extended from the window, rough and calloused, smelling of sweat and the open road. Get up, you'll die out here. Hop in. Why not? Worst case, he'd end this miserable charade faster than the cold. Best case, he'd be a trucker with a soft spot for strays. Absurd. But my brain spun tales to keep my legs moving. I grabbed his paw, mine trembling against his bulk, and he pulled me up with startling strength, mud squelching under my boots. I slogged the passenger side of his 18-wheeler, a rust-scarred beast that growled low. He shoved the door open, hoisted me in, and I shook out my fur, spraying water across the cab without guilt, a petty spark of spite. The cab was a lived-in cave, the wolf's life distilled into clutter like a werewolf's prison. Maps curled on the dashboard, creased from years of use. A thermos of stale coffee sat beside a radio spitting static, its knobs worn smooth. Cracked leather seats bore duct tape patches, and a pine air fresher dangled, its scent drowned by diesel and damp fur. A logbook lay open, smudged with pencil and coffee stains, a record of routes and rest stops. A crumpled chip bag glinted in the door pocket, relics of a road-weary wolf. Hello. Character doesn't extend to the bottom of the frame, hiding behind the near opacity, near opaque text box. Ridge. He said his name was Ridge. Settled into the driver's suit. Blech. Settled into the driver's seat. Paws adjusting mirrors with ritual precision. The narration has a particular style to it. It's very descriptive. It's not necessarily over-descriptive. It doesn't dwell on individual ideas for a long time to the point where it gets exhausting. It does have like a take it to 11 approach where everything is described in intense, evocative, dramatic terms. In one way, it's interesting that elements of the environment are tied to like narrative is drawn from them, like implication and purpose and like interpretation on the apparently the protagonist's perspective. On the other hand, enough of it is described evocatively enough that it's hard to zero in on what's more significant than other parts because of how much of it gets that kind of treatment. But this is all clouded by the fact that the protagonist is also having the worst day of his life, so that it could also be completely intentional from that perspective, the way that it almost reads like we're doing like a bit of like an Edgar Allan Poe poem with the drama to a lot of it all. It's like, well, it is a dramatic day, so. His blue eyes flicked to mine, steady but guarded, making my fur prickle. I looked away, claws digging into my shirt, trying to hold myself together. The engine wailed, a bone-deep cry, and we rolled into the storm, rain lashing the windshield. Wipers fought a losing battle, the world beyond a smear of black and gray. Thunder growled, echoing Dad's venomous words, and I curled tighter to the seat, wet fur shivering. Warmth seeped in, thawing my lips, but my mind churned. Fear tangled with curiosity, a flicker of hope I despised myself for feeling. Who was Ridge? Stopping for a broken thing like me. Hero or hunter? Nobody helped without a price. My claws picked at my shirt's frayed threads, and I stole glances at him, his silhouette a rock against the chaos, paws steady, breathing a quiet counterpoint to the storm. Smivia. 5 miles. A sign flashed, blurred but legible, sparking relief, or exhaustion dressed as hope. I exhaled, fogging the window, and pressed my snout to the glass, watching droplets race down before being whisked away by the wind. Anywhere was better than that oak, that rain, that nowhere. Ridge's presence filled the cab, quiet, solid, and unyielding, a tether I clung to as the miles slipped by, carrying me towards something I couldn't name. The storm eased as Smivia neared, a downpour softening, the sky a bruised purple. Ridge's paws gripped the wheel, steady and strong, and the silence thickened, heavy with unspoken introductions. I chewed my lip, tasting some leftover mud, and broke the dead air. Where are we going? Smivia, small diner. Rest, eat, figure out what's next. Thanks for picking me up. Don't mention it. Leaving you out there'd be cruel. Cruel. The word lingered, and I wanted to ask why he cared, but my throat locked. The crazy thing about reality is that actually people care more than they're given credit for. You'll often hear the idea that people never help without a price and so on, but it's actually like a deeply cynical take. People are cruel indirectly and anonymously in the form of like internet comments at celebrities or voting. There's a lot of cruelty in politics and things like that. People actually tend to help people that are directly in front of them in practical ways because they're human, or not in this case. And that you can actually be much more charitable in your assumptions about people from that perspective in a lot of cases. Instead, I traced raindrops on the window, their path as erratic as my thoughts. It's actually one of the reasons why battling homophobia and transphobia and so on often comes down to exposing people to gay people and trans people. Level of both, like, sometimes representation in media and so on, but much more so because people see that as like an agenda sometimes. A lot of the stuff really collapses when they actually encounter people who are just real and in front of them and in their community, and then suddenly, you get the ending of Luca done in less juvenile terms, but still. The diner's sign glowed, neon buzzing truckers paradise, a grimy oasis. Ridge parked, the engine's sound fading, and the silence pressed my ears, feeling off without the steady hum. Come on. I followed, legs stiff, the misty air cool against my musty fur. Inside the diner, grease and burnt coffee hit my nose, a strange comfort. Ridge picked a corner booth, far from the grizzled bear truckers and a hairless feline waitress whose scowl could sour milk. We slid in, and we ordered black coffee for us both. I cradled mine, paws soaking in the heat, steam curling upward. So, kid, what's your story? Why were you out there? I froze, mug halfway to my lips. His eyes, sharp yet soft, pulled it out. Got kicked out. Family didn't like me being gay. His jaw twitched, but he didn't flinch. Rough. How old? 20. The number a shield. 18 felt too fragile and immature. Adult then. They can't drag you back. Yeah. The word was hollow, like my chest. Freedom didn't erase the hurt. We sipped in silence, the diner's orchestra, clinking plates, a radio crooning about used cars filled the space. Just as a little design thing, why is it that a bandage on the nose of a furry wolf character is so powerful? why is it so effective of a design choice? Every time I see it, I'm like, this does just work if you put something on the bridge of the nose. Sometimes it's selling to 3D, but it's also just like a space to kind of fill. We're also close to the, they could also definitely do like an emotive, sprite where they could have the trucker cap cover the eyes, which is also a crowd favorite. The waitress slapped down menus, and Ridge got a burger, grease staining his fur. I poked at fries, stomach knotted, with his frown nudging me, but his frown nudged me to eat. Need to replenish your energy. I forced down a few, salt bitter on my tongue. Why'd you stop for me? The question burst out, reckless, and he met my gaze, searching. Couldn't leave you. Been there. Lost. Thinking the world's better off without me. You? I blinked incredulously. Long time ago. Survived it. Thought I could help. A story hid in his tone, but I didn't want to pry. Not even really his tone, just his actual words left obviously implied story. Dropping me in Smivia? Nah, unless you want. I'm coast-bound, got a delivery. Ride with me, I'll take you where you need after. The coast. Open. Endless. A blank slate. I understand that aesthetically a coast feels like it's open and endless, but it is literally an end because of humans being able to not go any further in practical terms for most intents and purposes. It's literally a wall. It's figuratively a wall. It's literally a figurative wall. Okay. A spark ignited. Good. Motel's next door. Sleep. Then we can leave at dawn. The motel room was a coffin. 2 beds, peeling wallpaper, mildew's faint stink. Ridge claimed one bed, tossed his bag down, and pointed to the other. Yours. Rest up. I crawled in, damp clothes clinging, too tired to care. No! Don't go to bed with your clothes on when they're wet and your fur's... Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. There's gotta be a system of some kind to unwet yourself. His breathing steadied across the room, a rhythm I clung to. Thank you, Ridge. No answer, but I knew he heard. Sleep eluded me, my eyes drifting to Ridge, sprawled across the other bed, a huge mound under thin sheets. The fabric hugged his curves, outlining his beer belly, the broad expanse of his chest, a tuft of dark fur peeking out. Moonlight streaked his fur, highlighting the gentle strength in his limbs. My pulse quickened and I turned away, realizing I shouldn't stare. I buried my head in the sheets, heat rising until sleep claimed me. I woke to his snores, light gasps hinting at sleep apnea. Gray light seeped through grimy curtains, the room heavy with cigarette smoke and damp rot. My white fur was matted, my body aching from the miles trudged. For a moment I forgot I wasn't in my bed at my parents' until everything crashed back. The fight, the screaming, Ridge, the truck, the stranger who'd pulled me from nowhere. I feel like you would list the truck before Ridge because it appeared first, and then it transitions to the thought about the stranger who pulled me from nowhere. I shifted, the mattress creaking. The room was a study in neglect, curling wallpaper, a chipped nightstand, a flickering lamp. My backpack slumped, still damp. Ridge stirred, eyes cracking open, storm cloud blue. Big wink. Morning. Morning? Sleep okay? Well enough, you. Better than under a tree. A faint smile broke through. Good. Breakfast on the road. We packed in silence, my clothes clammy, his duffel frayed but sturdy. Take a shower! No! You were mud-streaked and you have not resolved that still. Outside the lot was cracked, puddles shimmering in wet sunlight, weak sunlight. The air bit my nose, the sky a pale blue streaked with clouds. Ridge's truck loomed, a battered beast, its hood warm. I climbed in, the cab's pine and oil scent, a familiar cave. Ridge slid in, keys jangling, and the engine crowed up? Like a mechanical rooster in the morning, I guess so. He hit the road, fields unfolding under golden light, then a small town, gas stations, diners, a church. My stomach clawed, and Ridge glanced over, eyebrow raised. Hungry? Starving, I admitted, paws fidgeting. He steered toward a gas station. Crazy Crow's Corner. I don't know, just defaulted to breaking the alliteration and saying diner. Crazy Crow's Corner, and peeling letters. Filling up. Stretch your legs. Inside, a lazy brown fox. Why is that funny to me? It's, I think my brain is, like, jumping to, like, the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog or whatever. It's like the sentence that features every letter in the English language, which comes up sometimes as like a Rosetta Stone in puzzle games for being able to translate the glyphs in a game, basically. Spoilers for Fez. Although if you see that screen and don't know what it means, then you're fucked anyway. I think I didn't actually read that line. Inside, a lazy brown fox clerk barely looked up from our phone. I grabbed chips and a cola with my last coins. Outside, Ridge frowned at my haul. That's it. All I've got. He pressed a crumpled 5 into my paw. Get something real. Can't live on junk. I stared, a lump in my throat. I can't... Take it. Pay me back by not passing out. I nodded, grabbed a turkey sandwich and water, gratitude and shame warring inside. Back in the truck, I tore into the sandwich, the bread dry but filling. Ridge drove in silence, the quiet now companionable. I glanced at him, curiosity tugging. Where'd you learn to be so steady? Years of screwing up. You figure out what works when everything else falls apart. Ever run away? Thought about it. Left home after dropping out of college, chasing something I couldn't name. What was it? Freedom, maybe. A place to figure out who I was. Yeah, I get that. Ever get married? I blurted, voice cracking. Got a wife and 2 girls a couple states over. They're why I keep rolling. Cool. A hot pang rose from my chest and turned my face away from him as I felt my face get flush. We lapsed into silence again, but it wasn't empty. The truck hummed beneath us, a steady pulse, and I let my mind drift back to the fight with Mom, the words we couldn't take back, the door slamming behind me. I fished my phone from my backpack, its screen dark and dead since I'd collapsed under the oak. I plugged it into the truck's charger, watching it buzz to life. Almost instantly, it erupted. Texts, missed calls, voicemails, all from her. My gut twisted. A knot of guilt and dread. You're saying not a dangerous amount of times for a visual novel. Frost, where are you? One text read. Time-stamped midnight. Please come home. Another begged. 2 a.m. I'm sorry. I love you. The latest. Just hours ago. I stared at the screen, my vision blurring. She cared. Beneath the hate, the hurt, all the mess we'd made. But I couldn't face her. Not yet. The wound was too raw, a gaping thing I didn't know how to mend. Ridge glanced over, his expression unreadable. You okay? Mom. She's been texting. She wants me to come back home. You wanna go? No. I can't face her. He nodded. A silent pact sealing between us. Then, as if she'd sensed me reading her words, my phone rang. The name Mom with the heart emoji flashing across the screen. My heart thudded, paws trembling as I stared at it. Ridge stared solemnly as my brain froze over. I took a deep breath and answered, voice tight. Eyes on the road. Hi, Mom. I'm fine. Frost! Oh, thank God! Where are you? Are you safe? Her voice was frantic, cracking with panic. I'm hanging out with a friend right now. We're taking a trip to the coast. A friend? Who? I can see you moving. Family Finder. You're in a vehicle. I cursed under my breath. That damn app. I'm okay, Mom. I just need some time. With a stranger? How do I know you're safe? Frost, please, tell me where you are. How do you know it's a stranger? Did I miss that? Didn't he say friend? Or just do none of his friends have cars? Ridge's eyes flicked to me, steady and calm. She's tracking me, panicking. Tell her you're fine. You'll call later. Mom, I'll call when I can, don't worry. But Frost, what friend? Who were you with? You can't just... I'm okay. I promise. Bye. I hung up, fingers shaking as I shut the phone off completely. She's a total psycho. I bet she'll call the cops. He reached over, his paw heavy on my shoulder, grounding me. We'll handle it. Keep moving. The road stretched out, a ribbon of asphalt cutting through the countryside. I watched the side mirrors, half expecting flashing lights to appear. My chest was tight, a ball of anxiety I couldn't shake, but Ridge drove on, a fortress of solitude beside me. Can't you delete the app? I don't know how this app works. The sun climbed higher, casting golden streaks through the trees, and after a while he broke the silence. She always been like that? Worrying? Yeah. Used to be comforting, now it's just... suffocating. Mine was the same. Always fussing, trying to fix what couldn't be fixed. Drove me nuts till I left. What happened after you left? Wandered. Worked odd jobs. Trucking mostly. Met Lulu at a concert and settled down. Never went back. Do you ever miss your family? Ooh, that little grimace. That's a fun trick to have, like a tiny sub animation right there, where it's not the defining animation of the line of text, but like happens between them. Nah. Made a family of my own. A dysfunctional family, but it worked out. Only regret is not making things right with Mom before she passed. I leaned back, the seat creaking, and watched the world slide by, fields giving way to hills, then a stretch of forest thick with tree species I couldn't identify. My stomach growled again, the sandwich long gone, and Ridge caught it, smirking. Still hungry? It's my desire for self-preservation. He jerked his head towards a sign ahead. Another town's coming up. Let's stop. We pulled into a gravel lot beside a worn-down building with an open sign buzzing in the window. The door said Mama's Kitchen on it, and I offered no promises. Inside, it smelled of old coffee and asbestos, much less maintained than the diner from last night. We grabbed a sticky menu and ordered at the counter. A tired-looking mama bear smiled at us. Cheeseburger, no lettuce. Got it. And you, scrawny babe? What a thing to hear somebody call you. You look sickly. How are the blueberry pancakes? Eh. I stare at the hole in the drywall while Ridge disappeared to the... There's drywall here? Gotta get a new background now. Well, Ridge disappeared to the restroom until our food was ready. His burger piled high, my pancakes drowning in syrup. We ate quickly, the conversation fading into the clatter of forks. His words from earlier stuck with me, though. A quiet ember I couldn't ignore. Maybe he was right. Maybe I could pick it up again. Do you wish you could spend more time with your wife and kids? I bet you're away from home most of the time. Of course I do. Only get to see them on weekends right now. And even then, not always. Sounds lonely. Can be. But it's mine, and I'm just thankful they still want me around. What about you? What's your plan? I have no idea. I'll get to the coast with you, find a job, maybe a place once I've saved up enough money. I can start again, survive. It's a start, but you'll need more than that. Something to hold on to. Like what? A dream, something to chase, even when it's hard. I used to draw, wanted to be an artist. Yeah? What kind? Anything. Wolves, video games, stories in my head. I stopped drawing when it started feeling pointless. Doodles won't pay the bills, my parents said. Don't matter if it's pointless to them. It's for you. Keeps you whole. I nodded silently, my thoughts lingering on his words. Back on the road, the afternoon unfurled into a haze of golden light, the dense forest thinning as the air sharpened with the briny salt. It's a bit optimistic, like, yeah, I'll just get a job, figure it out. I'm like, whew, you are apparently out of money, given, as we've established, and homeless. You're homeless and have no money. Your ability to make yourself presentable to do any interviews or anything is going to be a difficult process, and people try to get jobs for months. How are you going to survive moment to moment? The truck's cab hummed with the low rumble of the engine, a steady counterpoint to our voices. Ridge spun tales of a bar fight down south, fists crashing over a spilled whiskey, a jukebox blaring through the chaos, and a storm that pinned him in an eastern pass, snow piling high as the wind shrieked. I countered with quieter stories, the comics I'd scribbled as a kid, heroes with bed sheet capes soaring over crayon cities. The treehouse I'd hammered together with my dad before he started hating me, its planks now sagging under the weight of neglect. Our words wove a fragile thread between us, stitching the miles together, and for a fleeting stretch, I forgot the phone in my pocket, its silence a temporary reprieve. I actually really like road trips because you just hang out with somebody that you like and just hang out and just chat, and like the duration of the trip really just kind of flies by. the stark difference between having to drive across the all of California alone, or having it, or doing it with one of your best friends and just chatting and then stopping for lunch halfway through and just going and just I will talk for an entire fucking drive. I can hold a conversation kind of indefinitely with somebody I'm comfortable with, and that just makes that makes the drive itself kind of like the destination. Like it's inherently has its own value. The landscape shifted, fields melting into towns, then dissolving back into endless nothing, a watercolor smear of greens and browns. Only a few more hours till we get to Sea Salty to offload the hull. Then I'm headed home. You sure the coast is for you? Well, the coastline's a decent place to be homeless because, science fact, the ocean regulates temperatures, so it gets less hot during the day and less cold during the night than it would in otherwise desert-y environments. Like, California is awful in the middle of California. It gets so hot and so cold, and you go about to like Nevada and the desert, it just gets amplified more and more, just how hot it gets during the day and how cold it gets at night. But that ocean, it stores temperature. It's why your coffee takes a long time to cool and so on. It's holding last night's coldness during the day, so and that's going into the air. So the air is colder than it would be miles further away from the coast, where there's no water to affect the temperature, and it gets hotter way faster. And then when the sun sets, the ocean still can maintain some of the warmth of the night, and it goes both ways. There's a lot of upsides to living somewhere near the ocean, and if you're not going to have a house, it's just genuinely more survivable. My phone buzzed, a sharp joint that severed the moment. I fumbled it out, my paws trembling as I unlocked the screen. The text glowed stark and accusing. Called the police. They're looking. Come home. Smiley face. Love, Mom. I don't like the tone of that. I don't like the tone of that at all, actually. That's really... Ooh. My breath caught, a cold fist of dread clamping around my chest. I turned the phone toward Ridge, my voice a ragged whisper. Look at this. Shit. His grip tightened on the wheel until his knuckles whitened. What do we do? We got options. Keep going, hope they don't spot us, but that's a gamble. Turn back, though I know that's not you. Or ditch the truck, hole up somewhere, but that might scream guilty to anyone watching. What do you think is best? Keep moving. If they pull us over, you talk. You're an adult, you left by choice, they can't drag you back. Okay. I was gonna say they've already reinforced twice that they can't take him back. I clung to his certainty like a lifeline. The sun climbed higher, shadows shrinking across the dashboard, but the warmth couldn't pierce the chill settling into my skull. We drove in a taut silence, the fields blurring past, their beauty lost, the overwhelming dread growing in my gut. I kept glancing at the mirrors, expecting the worst, every glint of metal, every distant rumble twisting my nerves tighter. Ugh. Then my phone erupted again, a shrill ring that sliced through the quiet like a blade. For a second there, I thought that was an alarm, like he's gonna wake up and none of today happened somehow. Mom's name flashed on the screen, a beacon of guilt and fury. My paws shook, the device nearly slipping as I stared at it, an anxiety attack poised to strike in my chest. Take it. Get it over with. I think that's a decent cliffhanger to end things on for our preview episode. That's a pretty compelling introduction. I know I'm a broken record, but I like it when a game just gets a move on and sets the scene and starts actually like moving and developing characters and setting up stakes and then evolving within the opening hour and not just locking you in a room for an entire hour, which is really common. So it's a pretty strong start, but that's pretty common for the Game Jam games, of course, because they're trying to tell, they're usually trying to tell an entire story in like 5 to 10,000 words. Some of them are backdoor pilots for longer games that they're gonna maybe work on for years or abandon, and that's different. But I think this is one of the ones that's supposed to be one and done. If you want to check out the full version of this game, you can click on the link in the description to the itch.io page and play the game yourself for free. In addition, there's a link in the description to the playlist of all the other free visual novel Let's Tries, so you can go on a big ol' exploration journey and try out a bunch of these preview videos that I've been doing here. There's also another link to my new channel, Boring Threeth, my third channel, where I just do little rants and discussions at the camera. I've rehomed those videos to a new channel because they don't really belong with the video essays, but they don't really belong with the Let's Plays either. And both audiences of both those channels might like them separately without wanting to cross-pollinate with the other main channels, particularly the video essays, people not wanting to subscribe to several gaming videos a day, obviously. So that is something I'm just gonna periodically mention at the end of videos because it's hard to communicate with your audience that you made a new thing. But we're off to a good start. A decent number of people have headed over there and people seem to be liking what I'm making there. I'm making at least one new video every week is the goal, and I'm also rehoming some older videos there that fit the vibe of that channel so that they're like findable again. So there's currently more than one video a week at the moment. But yeah, I did a 2-hour video about my journey becoming an artist over the last few years. I've done some current events type things, and there's just a bunch going on over there, and you want to check that out too. So lots of links to click on. Thanks for watching like always, guys, and I'll see you next time.